Sam,
Yes,
big
sir.
podcast today. We're kind of just getting started in this Outsider podcast. We got Eva Shockey, royalty in the hunting world. Thank you for joining us from, are you still in North Carolina?
We are, yeah. Just outside Raleigh, on the country outside Raleigh.
Are we still trying to make our way to Nashville, or?
Well, and Jay, we're secretly trying to make our way to Nashville. Thank you for just announcing that.
My house is for sale. I'll sell it to you.
You know what, Jay? We actually looked at your house. I have seen your house online from our realtor.
There you go.
We just love the Nashville area. We love the people. We love so much about it. We've been looking for a while, so I don't know. It might be our next move.
Well, hopefully. We got a little bourbon here on our side. We got you to drink a little white wine.
Cheers.
Second or third podcast for you today, I'm sure.
They didn't offer me wine in my last podcast I just got off of.
We're gentlemen. Live in the South.
Well, I like Tennessee.
Absolutely. What's going on now? What are you up to?
I have a kid with the flu in this side of my house. I just came back from playing T-ball out that way.
How old?
A 4-year-old little boy and a 7-year-old daughter.
You're in it.
We are in, yes. It's just starting to get fun. I feel like we're just coming out of it a little bit with the 4-year-old.
Is a third one in the cards, or?
Not in, no. Two is boy, girl. Lots of fun. My husband, Jay, do you know my husband, or you just?
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a hockey player, so he traveled his whole life being in the outdoor world. I traveled my whole life. The kid thing threw us a lot with the traveling and the adventure.
It's hard.
Yeah, because we're just not the 9-to-5er kind of thing. So two is perfect because we can throw them wherever we're going with us, and they just kind of go along, and it's fun. It's now that there's no diapers, we're cruising.
Yeah, Sam's got 3 girls, and I've got 3 boy girls. So I'm a little bit ahead of you guys, but Sam's kind of in your world right now.
I have 3, 5, and 7. And
you're right in our wheelhouse.
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Sun up to sundown. And
the girls. So you're playing the mental long game.
Yeah. My thing with girls, as long as they know their father loves them more than anybody else in the world, they're going to turn out all right.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. And
boyfriends are coming, though.
I mean, it's
inevitable.
Yeah.
Whoa, Jay.
Yeah.
Boyfriends are coming.
I'm all right with that. It's going to happen.
I mean, are you going to be the dad that? Is Tim going to be the dad that answers the door and is like, hey, where are you going tonight?
Well, with his hockey gear on or something. I mean, I don't know.
Mouthpiece in.
That stage, but our daughter she's me, which hurts a lot because I have to admit defeat that I was a handful. She's a handful, but I'm like, Tim, you got to be more tough, or I don't know. You got to handle this because that teenage girl thing is gonna. I'm gonna be
creeps
up fast.
I'm the soft one. Katie, Katie's a hard ass. She is, not me. I'm just like, let's just. How about I grab a beer and you go? We'll go outside. We'll just get away from mom for a second.
Your arm tattoos don't seem like you'd be the soft one in the situation.
Yeah, I put on a fake front a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
So Sam was Navy SEAL for 20 years. So a lot of his tattoos, some of them mean a lot. Some of them are just stupid shit that he did whenever he was deployed and bored.
Very true.
I bet there's some really fun stories around bourbon that involve those tattoos.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a late night podcast sometime.
I need to know about Tim's trucks.
Oh my gosh.
I've been following him online, and we gotta show what he's been buying, but the truck game is unbelievable right now.
Okay, so Tim he gets obsessed with things. I mean, he was a professional athlete. I feel like you guys have some kind of DNA thing where you kind of get laser focused. And
no, you just get bored.
Yeah,
it's called boredom.
It's called boredom. ADHD, a little boredom, yeah, a little bit of all. And so he's always liked trucks, but I don't know what it is about the last year or 6 months. he got this one truck and he was all excited. I was like, okay, cool. And he was looking forward to it. He got it all. It was on some farm or something in Montana for the longest time. Knew it was coming. And then, like, I don't know, 2 months ago, he was on a work trip and he's like, he texted me, he said, our friend's dropping something off for me. Just trust me. And I was busy with the kids and I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. And I literally ignored the text. That evening, his friend drives in with a vintage truck for him and drops it off. I'm like, what is happening? And he's like, yeah, just trust me on it. So he got a second truck and now they're like 1967 and 71 Fords or something like that. I mean, I don't
Is he
know
a Ford guy? Is that what he's into?
Yeah, something about he is like a.
Does he have a new Ford?
Yeah, well, yeah, he drives like a Ford, like, I don't know, yeah, a new big Ford. But
what
then
do
he
you
has
drive?
2 old ones. I don't know what he drives, like a Ford F-250, I think. Like
so you guys are Ford family.
I drive a Wagoneer. I drive a Mom-mobile with.
You drive a Wagoneer?
Yeah, Grand Wagoneer.
My girlfriend drives a Wagoneer, a black one.
They're
good. Nice.
They're really nice. I'm like, do not get me a minivan. Like, I'm not doing it. So a Wagoneer.
No, the Wagoneer is great.
Yeah, I agree. It is great. And then we have all these.
It's got the little sport thing where you can put it in sport and like kind of get a little juice. I'm just telling you,
I don't know how to do that. I'm usually in like carpool lineup. There's not a lot of juice required.
I know all about carpool line. It's the worst of all worst.
Yeah, it really is not my favorite. But yeah, we have trucks everywhere. We only have a 2-car garage because we were going to build a barn. And so his trucks are in the garage, his old trucks. My Wagoneer is outside and his truck is outside. And then we have a backup vehicle.
Well, those are, it's like memorabilia. Like we can't leave those out. We can't leave those outside.
They've been on a farm. Like, isn't that what makes them cool that they're tough? Like, why do we need to put a roof over them?
They've been probably patina. Like, they seem to be stored away. Been restored.
I'm staying out of this one.
I mean, you sound and then he suddenly is washing them all the time.
Oh, I'm on Tim's side here. I'm just trying to support my guy.
I do photo shoots, and normally, it is pulling teeth to get him to show up for 5 minutes of a photo shoot. And his trucks were involved a couple weeks ago, and he was out there for 3 hours with not a
he was there with bells on.
He was posing
Couldn't
with
wait.
the trucks. I'm like, what? Yeah, so it's a whole new thing. But I told him we need a garage or we need to move or something because these trucks are in my parking spot.
So, Eva, I'm going to digress a little bit away from vintage pickup trucks, even though I hate to ruin the conversation because I love them. Could you tell me a little bit about how you got started dancing?
Latin ballroom dancer and teacher.
Turned hunter.
Yes, I know. It was weird. There was a few years there in Vancouver, BC that was a little weird. So my mom was a professional ballet jazz dancer, model, actress, vegetarian, like as feminine as you could possibly get. Obviously, my dad in the outdoor world.
Vegetarian?
Was, yeah.
How long did that last?
Not very long.
How long? Where'd your parents meet?
In Vancouver. So I'm Canadian.
I know that.
They met in Vancouver. My dad was at the time an antique dealer. He had antique stores. My mom was like an actress, model, dance teacher. And
he was an antique dealer?
Yeah, that's how he got into hunting. Yeah, I guess a lot of people really don't know the story. But
yeah.
You just asked me like 10 questions in one question. So he was an antique dealer.
Sorry.
He was like,
we had some bourbon.
Young, successful. He had all these people from Hollywood come to Vancouver to shop his antiques because it was like before they were super cool, but kind of getting cool. Like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell and Ralph Lauren would come to his shop. So he was kind of had a big ego and all that. Good looking. He was a swimmer, like a Canadian national swimmer, all that stuff. So he was trying to meet girls.
He's a Renaissance guy.
That's, he likes to think so. We
all do.
He's done pretty good. And he went to go meet some girls. And he's like, where can I meet a lot of girls with no competition? So he went to an advanced ballet class. And as a student, like walked in with short shorts, like back in, this would have been like 1980 or something. Walked in, took the class. My mom was the teacher, and they got married 6 months later.
No kidding.
And,
6
so she
months?
was a dancer. Didn't keep with the vegetarian thing for very long, but was never a hunter, stayed like the most glamorous, classy, feminine lady ever. So I grew up dancing and my whole life. And then after college, I gained a little bit of college weight and I came back and I was like, okay.
Me too.
Okay. Yeah. So I started dancing like a lot and then I just started competing. And then when I started hunting, I had to kind of put that on hold. And I had like my Latin dance friends and then I had my hunting friends and they really were not the same kind of people. And then I just ended up getting too busy. But
So was there no pressure from your dad to hunt as a young girl? To bring you hunting? I'm sure he wanted to. Every father does, right?
he wanted to. I had an older brother. So my brother would hunt with them and shoot with them because my mom was so feminine and definitely she didn't want to hunt and didn't think I would want to hunt. She was very strict on like, he couldn't force me to, like, don't make her do it, invite her and that's fine. And I just, back then there was no social media. My mom was the opposite of a hunter. We lived in a small town in Canada. We didn't have TV, like outdoor hunting or anything. And so I honestly did not know a female that I'd ever hunted. And so it wasn't even something I really considered.
How did the hunting show start? How did your dad go from antique dealer marrying a dancer to a vegan dancer to all of a sudden like we're gonna do this worldwide hunting show and have kids and do this? How did that happen?
I know there's a lot of layers in the Shockey family. So making sure I get this right. So he was an antique dealer, an athlete, and then he was he grew up hunting, but kind of like meat hunting from his family, like just for food for the table. And then as he got into his 20s, like he took it seriously, but it was just a hobby. Mm-hmm. And he had 3 antique stores in Vancouver, like big warehouse stores that were super cool and trendy, like up and coming. And Ralph Lauren was his client.
I wish Ralph Lauren was my client. Honestly.
He came in and he bought everything from all 3 warehouses and stores to furnish his Ralph Lauren stores across Canada.
Heavy hitter.
Really bought like my dad's, 10, 15 years of antiquing, like all of it. And so he wrote my dad a check, which I've never actually heard what was on the check, but he wrote him a check.
It was a lot. It wasn't small.
And my dad bought his bear territory. And
no,
within a couple of years of getting married, my dad went from antique dealer to hunter. My mom was like pregnant, wasn't an actress anymore, like gave up her life, and she's like, what happened?
I
did not know this. This is a wild story.
So I did a little research. So I did a little digging, a little creeping, whatever you want to call it. So you didn't start hunting till 20. You were 20, and now you're a mother. You have kids, and thinking of the future of the outdoorsman. How or what techniques and tricks do you have for bringing your young children hunting? Because I've tried a couple things, and my daughter sounds like a rhino in a echoing box when we tried to deer hunt.
Yeah, I can't say I figured out the silence thing, but to be fair, Tim's like, they come by it honestly, because I also love to chit chat when we're hunting, and Tim is like a strong and silent kind of my husband, and he was like, please stop talking to me. But our thing, and it was kind of like what my family did, but the difference was my mom didn't hunt, so that makes a big difference, I think, for kids. So sort of seeing, especially as the girl, I'm like, well, if my mom's not doing it, I don't want to do it. In our family, I hunt and my husband hunts, so it makes it a little easier to kind of show it as an example. But we try to make it really fun. Since they've been little, we check trail cameras. We bring them fishing. Lenny was in bear camp when she was 5 months old. I was pumping while we were hunting on the mountain. They've been there for a lot of this stuff. And I think just making it such a full part of your life. We eat wild game. We talk about, this is meat. This is moose from daddy's moose in the Yukon or from the elk that mommy hunted or whatever. Just making it so interwoven in your life and in your family that they don't even really know it's like a thing you're going to do. So our kids shoot bows, which I feel like is a really good step in that direction of getting them outside, getting them into it, even if they don't want to kill something. It's like, I don't care if they actually don't hunt, but being outdoors, I do care that you enjoy it. And we brought them hunting this last fall at 4 and 6 at the time. And there was nothing within 10 miles of our deer stands.
Was there ever a point, you were dancing, your mom's vegan, was there a point you're like, maybe this isn't for me? I don't want to hunt. I don't want to be a part of this.
The only time that was a point was before I started, honestly. Like, I didn't think I wanted to because, and also I was a teenage girl, young girl, no female role model that I knew at the time hunted. And by no means does that mean there weren't females. I just didn't have access to them.
No, like you were one of, I mean, if you actually go back, like you were one of the first ones out there that was doing it.
Champion this effort. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Tiffany Lakoski and Vicky and Brenda. Like, I mean, there were ones that came before me, absolutely, but I got to come at a really fun time, right when social was starting, and so we got to access people a lot easier, which was really a fun ride to be part of. But when I used to go to the trade shows, like hunting conventions, like SCI, which was just in Nashville, and those kind of things. I mean, we had
a great time there.
It's really fun. It was all men though, and then like some trophy wives, which is fine, but they weren't.
Well, I think now it's catered actually towards trophy wives.
There's a lot of diamonds, and there's a lot
diamonds
of
and furs.
The one in Dallas,
and I fell for both of them.
The one in Dallas is
it's a good time if you ever get a chance to go. But now you go and I feel like there's a ton of women. We did a signing it was just like last month in Nashville. We did a signing. It was half women that came through. I mean, it's really cool to see what the industry has done. And I think just because so many more people are talking about it, it's so accessible to people now, and through social and outdoor channel and podcasts that didn't exist back then. Like, we can now see it's way more normal than what we thought.
Yeah, the world's a lot smaller, and I think women, like, in that, I mean, credit to you, like, women now are like starting to do more and more and more and getting out there and hunting, and which I think is a good thing.
It's great. So yeah, you go to Total Archery Challenges, tons of women at DSC, at SCI, tons of women. I think the tables are turning. There's women's clinics and everything like that have to do with, you know, the revolve around the outdoors and hunting. So I think it's great. But,
they have a lot, and like the products, the brands are getting behind it. I mean, they have been for 10 years, probably 5 years heavily. Like, instead of just, I mean, you guys probably didn't notice, like, being hunters and outdoorsmen, but if I wanted clothes when I was younger, or like 10, 15 years ago, I mean, it was literally just like hot pink, ugly stuff, or I'd have to wear like a size small men's, but like,
it was impossible to find things.
It didn't fit me. And I'm like, this is not that fun. But now they don't just shrink your stuff. They actually make women's stuff. Like, we have bows for us, and we have clothes for us, and guns for us. And I think it makes you want to be more involved, because it kind of feels like, oh, we actually do belong, even though we belonged before. It was just a little harder to get comfortable in there.
And you've triumphed that. Like, you have a lot of things out there with your name on them in the hunting world.
Yeah, there's a few.
There's a lot of things.
I've been very lucky to be, I mean, it's been cool also because I've gone through and had kids and got married. And I remember there was a time I had kind of grown in the industry and worked really hard, and all I really wanted in my life was to have kids and a family. And I'm like, okay, well, everyone's gonna stop following me, no one's gonna care. As soon as I have kids, I guess I'm giving up everything. And I'm like, whatever, I want kids. And I had kids, and everyone's like, if anything, more relatable now, because I wasn't.
Oh, 100%.
I'm like, oh, I'm a disaster. I'm like, my hair's messy, no makeup, whatever. And people are like, no, this is the person that we understand.
That's life. I mean, that's how it goes, and we'll get to that. Whenever, because I mean, she's got her whole line, and she's got a ton of things happening. What was like your first hunt when you were out there? Like, this is for me. Like, I really enjoy this. It's a hard question. Maybe you don't know the answer.
My first hunt was after university. I still wasn't quite sure if I wanted to actually kill something.
Did you say after university?
Yeah, that's when I went to university.
That's a Canadian thing.
Well aware.
College.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a few. I've been in the States for a while, but there's some Canadian words that just slip in. But I went on a warthog hunt. My dad was going to Africa, and I said I wanted to hunt. And I mean, he had me hooked up with that hunt within 2 hours, because he didn't want me
was
to
like, absolutely, let's go.
After 20 years of asking. And so I did a warthog hunt, because I'm like, they're so ugly. I don't think I'm gonna like be that sad.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling the trigger. I mean, I was crying, but also kind of excited crying. And after that, I mean, I was like, oh no, that was fine. And then we ate it, which was for me a big thing, was the whole field to table cycle. We ate it, and I had always been really weird and squirmish about when my dad would like skin deer at our house and all that. But when I actually shot it myself, it's like I understood the connection between the animal and the food. And then at that point, the skinning and all that didn't freak me out. It was the weirdest thing. But yeah, so I loved it.
Was your mom still vegan at that point?
No, she hadn't been for like 20 years. She got over
this?
No choice. Yeah, she really didn't have a choice when she got into the Shockey family. But she was there on the hunt because we were so close. But I mean, she was crying because like she would watch my dad's shows and cover her eyes when he shot something. Like whatever, the one step away from anti-hunter is like what my mom wanted without being an anti-hunter.
Did you shoot something the next day or on that trip? Did you shoot another animal?
Yes, I did. I think I went for, once I started, like, because I was in my 20s with no responsibilities and my dad was traveling so much, I literally went from that hunt and decided I liked it and went on the show and just never really slowed down. It was like
you were just an assassin after that.
It was
stacking
bodies. What happened to my dancer? Like I went from dancing.
My poor daughter is gone.
It was just, I mean, you guys know, it was like the adventure. It was so fun. Just challenge, the fresh air, like just the whole experience. And I, back then and now, I honestly more now that I'm a mom, like the actual shot and the kill is still my least favorite part. Like I wish you could do all of the hunting and all the eating and all that without killing, but like you can't. It's not how it works. So that didn't appeal to me, but everything else is, and like of course, you know, when you understand conservation and everything that goes into it.
Did you immediately get into cooking wild game after you shot this warthog, or when did that passion take off?
Pretty much. I mean, in your 20s, like, what am I going to cook for myself?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't do a lot of cooking, but when I met my husband, my mom was such a good cook, so I had always pretty much eaten wild game, so it was just what I just continued to do. But once you have a husband and kids, you're like, I feel like all you do is people are hungry all the time.
Yeah, they don't stop. Just always food.
Yeah, ours are little. I can't even imagine once you have teenagers.
It's he doesn't know yet. Like I'm 11, 9, and 8, and my oldest are boys. I don't think they stop. Like we have dinner, and then like literally like an hour later, like we need some more food. I'm like, bro, like we just ate. It's just constant.
June goes through that with growth spurts. I'll notice she'll eat a full adult meal at a restaurant or at home and then eat her sister's and then want more. And then I'll notice, you know, okay, she's going through a growth spurt.
Yeah.
And they're always correlate, but she puts away a lot of food.
Well, it gets to a point like where they're just constantly growing and like they just burning up energy. So
they're
like
so full of energy. Like
they don't stop.
Don't stop maybe. Like literally jogging all day. Like especially the little boy. Those little boys, there's like something, he jogs from the minute his feet hit the ground and then he crashes and then jogs.
He gets
we all be hungry. Jay, do your kids hunt at all?
Yeah. I've messed up as a parent. And
tell us how so we don't know.
I welcome you. I'm gonna tell you what not to do. So why are you laughing?
Because I know exactly what you're going to say.
Because I've got a farm in Kentucky, and like
you shot something too big too soon.
We've got some big deer, and in Kentucky you can bait, and if you're how's my dad? Like if you're like 60 and older, you can use crossbows. Because we start the first weekend of September, so like we're in velvet. Like their bachelor groups, like these guys we've got the biggest deer, just 5 of them showing up at 5 o'clock to the corn pile.
Like clockwork
every day. And if you're 60 or older or 12 or younger, you can use a crossbow. So we have all these ravens just sitting around, which are damn near guns.
Yeah, their crossbows are so good.
Oh, I mean, if Raven people are listening, like your product is
through the roof.
It's you guys are killing it. But my boys now, like they think that killing a 150 or 160 is just kind of the norm in velvet. Like they're like, if we don't kill one, then why are we here?
It was the year before last, and it was opening day, and me and his two boys, and did you even go hunting?
No.
And we're sitting in a stand. I shot one. I'm like, oh, this is a really nice.
I think I was just the camp guy. I was like, I'll be back.
Really
fire food. I got it.
You did a great job.
Typically,
really nice, mature 8-point, and I'm very proud of it. Then I walk up and I see their deer. I'm like, holy shit!
Like these huge like.
This 8-year-old just shot 162-inch
whitetail
like
in
velvet that's 6.5.
10 white 10 6-year-olds, and they. I mean,
that sounds like a dream. I'm so jealous of.
It's stupid, and they went like 10 yards. Like they shot them, both heart shot at them. Went 10 yards, and they're like, "Well, day one, we're done."
I'm like, why is it so hard? What's
and they look at me like, what are you doing out here? Like, why do you keep coming? Like, why are you chasing after this deer? Like, we did it day one. Like, what the hell is the problem here? And now they're like, and now
the people do that, and that is a huge, like, it's a huge thing when you have kids and they start
so I showed them pictures this year. So like, you know, like we're going through all the cameras and stuff, and Jackson's like, I want to shoot him. And I'm like, he's only 4. Like, we're going to let him go. He's like, I'll wait till next year. And I'm like, so you're not hunting this year? He's like, no, I'm just going to wait on him. I'm like, you're 9. What are you talking about? I need you to go out there and kill like one of the cull bucks. Like he's like, nah, I'm good. I'll just wait. And my oldest son, Cam's like, no, I think Jackson's right. Like, there's nothing out there for us this year. I'm like, you guys are the worst.
That is what not to do. You know what?
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't live here in North Carolina and see the deer that come through. Then your kids will appreciate those big deer.
Start them on something super small.
Dog out there, like they're like, I mean, the North Carolina deer are so small.
I know, it's like Alabama.
My dad, actually, that was like one of the first lessons we had. The first whitetail season I did with him, we were in Saskatchewan, so we have property. Well, I still say we. It's not mine. I'm a full-grown adult, so it's not mine anymore. But it's my dad's. It's our family. Shockey land. We have whitetail. We still have our outfitting area, but we have a family ranch that we used to hunt on all the time. And my dad, we sat there, and after going to Africa a few times, which is like plains game. And have you guys been to Africa for hunting?
Yeah, I have.
I have not. I've been there. He has. I've not. I've been there, but I've never shot anything.
So it's so fun. There's all different styles, but plains game is just everywhere. Herds of it. I mean, it's just like nonstop. So for my first couple hunts, that was really fun because I'm like, well, kind of like your kids, like, well, this is fun. Like not super hard, but a little bit hard, but not really. Went to Saskatchewan, like -40 whitetail season, and I was like, and my dad, he can be very serious and very focused, and I was whatever.
I've seen the show. I don't think he messes around.
12 hours a day, weren't allowed to drink anything, so you couldn't go to the bathroom for 12 hours, -40 in a thing, and I'm like, what are we doing? When you say it, I almost give up. That first year, because I'm like, we didn't see anything, didn't shoot anything, and I'm like, this is the worst.
You were 20 or 21?
Yeah, 21.
Goodness.
Just absolutely like miserable. My dad had to really have a come to Jesus moment with me about like what.
Were you gun hunting then?
Did what?
Were you gun hunting? Gun?
I think it was crossbow hunting for whitetail.
When did you get into bow hunting?
So the first trip to Africa,
you know she has her own bow, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did not. Yeah, my own bow. That last podcast I was on was a bow hunting podcast, and we were talking about it. We've had it for 10, 11 years.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's so cool.
It's crazy. But the first trip to Africa, my dad was bow hunting. I was not because I'd never been hunting, but they sent a bow for me. The company we shot at the time, and I shot the bow. And I hadn't shot since I was like 12, like at archery. And I shot and I kept kind of like, I was shooting really well. Total beginner's luck. Had no idea what I was doing. And they were like freaking out. And I was so mad because I thought they were like making fun of me because I thought they were trying too hard to be nice and saying I was shooting well. And I was mad at my dad. And so it was just this weird conversation. But then once I started shooting well, I realized that actually was really good. I just had a beginner's luck because once you get in your head a little bit more, it's harder to shoot when you realize all the bad things you can do with the bad habits. But so I started, probably 15 years ago.
Very nice.
Less thinking is more.
So I was doing some reading today, or creeping, or perusing, and I came across the fun fact that you and Queen Elizabeth have a little something in common, and that's the cover of the Field and Streams magazine. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And when you were going through that experience, did they talk about when the Queen did it at all?
Yeah, well, that was, so Tim, my husband, was a pro hockey player, and I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory real quick. He was a pro hockey player. We met on his last season, the week after his last season for the Carolina Hurricanes. So he was playing NHL. We went on a date.
How'd you meet? Stop. Back up. How'd you meet?
Oh,
we love a good love story.
I love love.
He loves love. We're just starting this podcast, but like I think we might land on just love stories going forward.
Wine and love stories.
We can do both. So tell us how you met. Tell us about this love story.
Feminine energy in there over there. Okay, so Tim was playing for the Hurricanes, the NHL team in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was traveling at the time, I think I was like selling Shockey merchandise because I was 22 or something, selling like some kind of Shockey merch at trade shows. It's called the Dixie Deer Classic in North Carolina in Raleigh. Tim was in town because it's a hunting and outdoor show. I think it's actually next weekend. And he came to the show because he loves hunting, and he met me. Talked for 2 minutes he said, I heard you're Canadian. I miss hearing
Did he come to meet you, or did he come with friends?
No,
just
he
randomly?
came with a friend. According to Tim, I'm still a little skeptical on this.
I'm skeptical too. I'm not buying this shit.
But he did not know me, but his friend knew me, and his friend who was married, and his friend said, go talk to her. She's Canadian. So Tim came up to me and said, I heard you're from Saskatchewan, which I'm not. And he said, I'm sick of the accents here. I miss the Canadian accent. Like the Southern accent was like too much for him at the time.
Sure.
And so we talked for 2 minutes about hunting. Like I did not by any means think he was hitting on me or anything. And he left and he told his friend.
Do you think he was cute? Did you were like, hey?
Oh. So I turned around to the girl that was in my booth with me. And at the time I was like 24, 25 and just a girl,
young and dumb, as we all were at age.
All men in the industry. There was a lot of guys around, like just the industry.
Oh,
and so I
9 to 1.
Yeah, just a couple. But I said to her, he was super cute, and I had never said that in all the shows we were at. And he went and told his friend right then that he was going to marry Eva Shockey, and his friend was like, "I don't."
Attaboy,
think so.
Tim. Attaboy. Attaboy.
Yeah. So we ended up talking on like 8 months later, Twitter or something at first, and then like texting, FaceTime, and then we're like, he was in North Carolina and I was in Vancouver, Canada, so like very far apart with no intentions of like having any reason to be in the
Tim had a plan. Of course he did. Good for him.
He's like the long game, silent kind of guy, and so
I totally respect it.
We went on our first date in North Carolina on a 6-day road trip. After having talked for 2 minutes a year earlier, I was already traveling for work, and I had all these trips coming up for hunting, and I was in Wisconsin, so I flew into Raleigh, and we went on a 6-day road trip together. And
that was your first date?
Like we talked for a while, but yeah, since that 2-minute meeting, that was our first
2-minute meeting, and you flew in, and we're like, hey, we're going to do a 6-day road trip? Was your dad worried? So were people worried about you? Did you have a tracking device on you?
He was in Wisconsin with me, my dad and my mom, I think, and my brother. We were filming something, and we were all going different directions, and everyone's like, where's everyone going from here? And I was like,
going on a first date for 6 days.
He's a random man, and I'm like, he might kill me. Nobody knows. But we looked him up, or I had already looked him up. Tim had just donated his Harley Davidson to like a child's cancer research.
Gosh.
What a heartthrob.
He knew they were researching. He's playing the long game. He's like, what can I do? I'll get rid of a Harley. She'll see that.
Yeah,
Jim will see that. They'll think I'm good.
But then, so that was May 10th. We moved to Russia together in July for 2 years. Like, there's the love story. Like, we were like...
Super fast.
Yeah. So the Queen Elizabeth story, I was living in Russia with Tim. I got so bamboozled, like thought we were going to live in the States somewhere, and suddenly we're in Magnitogorsk, Russia.
Was he playing hockey over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a free agent.
Yeah.
And he was talking to some teams, and then the Russian Hockey League, I don't know, I assume they still do this, but they were offering 6 times more than you'd make over here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the lifestyle is very different, and you kind of like the top players that just stay, but the people sort of in Tim's level, like really good, but like that's a lot of money to not.
Let's just not say Tim's level. Like Tim's a badass. I like Tim.
No, he was a badass, but like what he said to me a month and a half into dating was, "This is like could set us up for our future, but I'm not going unless you come with me." And I was like, "Okay, we're going to Russia."
That's
so
aggressive.
We went to Russia for 2 years.
How was the area that you lived in?
You jumped in. You jumped right in.
Didn't
hesitate.
I feel like what other girl would do that? I don't really think any, because it was crazy. But I traveled literally was international all year for 5 years before that. So like my dad was in Russia 3 times that year.
I think you're kind of in love though too.
I was there, and like what?
You were in love.
I wouldn't do it now, and I'm still in love, but I was freshly in love, so it was a different
Well, none of
situation.
us would do it after you have kids and you're little wise. But when we're young and dumb, like love's the best thing in the entire world when you're young and dumb.
So it was the best life experience. Like the amount that we appreciated coming out of that experience was just crazy. And the Field and Stream offer came when I was in Russia. So that's why I was telling you that story. I was in Russia, and they said, "We want you to come shoot for Field and Stream for the cover." And I was like, I've grown up with Field and Stream. Like they've never had, I didn't know about Queen Elizabeth. I was like, they don't have women on the cover,
Ever.
definitely not by themselves.
So
and
I'm
I
in
was
too.
like, I'm in Russia. That's, yeah, well, I said, "Is this serious? Like it's going to take a day for me to get home." And they said, "Yeah, it's serious." So I flew from Russia 36 hours to New York City. At the time I'd been hunting so much, so my hunting gear was in transit between hunts. I would just send it from one place to the next lodge, and then I'd go to Russia, see Tim, give him some kisses, and come back and go hunting. And I rerouted my hunting gear to this shoot, and it was dirty. So these New York people had opened it up and were steaming it when I got there, and it was literally like dirty hunting clothes, and I was so horrified. And I had to ship a bow from Bowtech to the shoot in New York City, and I went and shot for like 12 hours. They had never seen a bow before, and I was at full draw, and I kept having to let down because these New York like photo people were running in front of my bow, and I was like, "You guys, like it is not a prop, it's an actual deadly weapon." And I shot, and I got back on the plane the next morning, flew back to Russia, didn't see the magazine for like almost a year because I didn't come home for a while. And so one of the dads, we were in playoffs, and the Canadian dad brought me a copy like a year later. And saw I was on the cover. It was pretty crazy.
So you guys weren't engaged yet. You were just dating at this point, so?
So the first year we started dating in May, went over in July. We were just dating that year, which I didn't know he wanted to ask my dad's permission. So he had the ring for a while.
Of course, he wanted to ask.
Yeah,
he's a gentleman.
Tim, and
yeah.
He always does the right thing.
Yeah.
And so he proposed the off season.
How did he propose?
We were at my house, my parents' house in Canada, and you guys really do love love.
I do. We both love love.
Guilty.
Sorry. You didn't think this was gonna be a love podcast, did you?
I did not see this going this direction.
Yeah.
So
we're big proponents of love.
There's nothing wrong with being macho and loving love.
Yeah.
And he had this like. I don't even remember. We were picking at my grandma. He'd never met my grandma before, and he was going to propose under my favorite oak tree. So he had a sign. It was like our anniversary or something, and he said, "I have a gift for you." And I thought it was our anniversary or birthday present or something. And so I was like, "Oh, it's a present."
Yeah.
And he was going to propose under this oak tree. And when I got there, he wasn't under the oak tree, but he was sitting with my grandma having a drink in like our garden. And I was like, "Okay, well, then whatever." And so I went and sat, and they had just met. So they were visiting. We visited for like 4 hours. And I was did not know anything was happening, and we were all gonna go out for dinner. And he's like, "Well, just come down to the oak tree for a second." I was like, "Tim, it's fine. Like,
give me a second here."
Yeah, and I was like, "No, like everyone's waiting." He's like, "Just for a minute." And so he proposed, but my grandma had seen him in the garden about to like waiting for me, and she's like, "Tim," and so she brought him out. He had the ring there for like 4 or 5 hours, sitting on this little spot. She brought him out, and we sat there for 6 hours. I had no idea, having a glass of wine and stuff, and the ring was sitting waiting. And so he proposed it, and we had all planned for dinner. And then he jokes that second year in Russia, I say we lived there for 2 years together. We lived there for a year, and then I got engaged. We got a dog, and we bought a house in Florida on the beach, on the ocean. And the second year wasn't quite as long of Russian trips, but I say it's because I was planning a wedding. I couldn't,
Did you do any hunting while you were in Russia? Or did your dad come over and you guys do any bear hunting or anything?
Just surviving in Russia was enough for me, honestly. my dad was hunting like Kamchatka bears and stuff, but I'm in Russia as a non-Russian speaking Canadian American young girl.
Yeah, I have no desire to go to Russia.
It was a tough place. It was like I've never been bullied in my life. Like I don't even know what that feels like. And I was mid-20s getting kind of bullied. And I'm like, this is not fun. Like people are kind of, not everyone. There's some wonderful people, but it was different for sure. But made you really appreciate what we all have where we live.
What was your favorite food while you were over there?
Vodka?
Wine?
Kloshkis?
White wine? Red?
Well, a lot of wine. That's where I started drinking red wine because they actually had pretty good wine, but we were there during the sanctions, and so they didn't import any food for pretty much all the time we were there. But you would go to the grocery store to get meat, and I was working, but it was almost like a 12-hour time difference. So I'd work at night, and then Tim would play during the day. So I cooked a lot, did like the freshly dating thing, like cooked and made meals for everybody. And but you'd go to get meat, and it would be not in a cold area. It was like on a counter, and these big babushkas would have these machetes, and they'd be scraping the top of the steaks, getting like the flies and stuff off the warm meat. And I couldn't feed it to Tim because they played so often. Like if he got food poisoning, I'd also feed a lot of the other Canadian American husbands. If they got food poisoning, that was like a third of their whole team getting food poisoning. So I couldn't feed them any meat. So it was, I was cooked. That was another time. He got a little pudgy because all there was like pasta and cheese and wine basically while we were there.
Sounds like my life. Pudgy.
Relax. You look great. So another thing I came across was one of his hockey fights. Has there been any incidences while you guys are out, maybe having a couple adult beverages, and he threw the gloves in a bar?
I didn't research this hard, so this is news to me.
Great joke. No, he was pretty calm, but so when he got out of hockey, he went into real estate. And the first, I would say 6 months, when there were issues in the office, he would come home ready to drop his gloves. And we had to like really work through like those of us in the normal world. You can't punch somebody when someone's being shitty.
You're talking to two wrong people in the normal world. So like we're not in the normal world.
That's true. I should just put it myself.
Yeah, especially him. I'm more normal. I'm on your team.
Like you can't
Tim and these guys, like they just want to fight people.
I did get in a fight on mine and my wife's first date. It was a Brad Paisley concert.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
On your first date?
First date? Why are you fighting people?
Well, first of all, it wasn't my fault.
Shocker.
So we're tailgating a bit. We go into the concert, and there's this girl laying there, and she has her skirt up.
Where's this at?
San Diego, at the amphitheater there. Her skirt's up a little high, and I think she'd puked. She just was in a bad spot. I'm like, who are you here with? And she's like, oh, my boyfriend. I'm like, well, give him a call, because she was just laying there by herself. So she calls him, and I pick up and she wasn't, with it at all. So I talked to him like, hey, where are you at? Then he immediately goes, fuck you. Who's this? I'm like, well, meet me at the top of the hill. And I'm like, you need to come get your girlfriend. She's in a bad spot.
Why don't we just walk away and go into the concert?
Well, I'm in the concert. I'm on the hill. In the amphitheater. This is mid-concert. Like,
just let them live their lives. Just let them go. Let's just let them do their thing.
Well, that's not the way this played out. And
Obviously.
then I go to the top of the hill and I'm looking for him, and I'm on like an old Razor flip phone, and I see him, puts his hand in the air.
I'm sure he
and
did
then
not want any part of you.
I think I open hand slapped him and then drug him down the hill, and then I'm yelling at him and tell him to get his girlfriend to go over there, and I look over and just Katie's bawling.
This is date one.
Yeah.
Date
You're
one.
lucky there was another date. I know you did nothing wrong, but that's a lot to absorb.
How'd you get to date two? Like, how did you rectify this situation where, like,
She was
my fault?
She was a damsel in duress, and I was pretty much a hero that night.
As you're beating the shit out of this random dude?
I just open hand slapped him, then I drug him down the hill. I don't think I hit him again.
Are you supposed? Is that like a guy code? Like you're supposed to start with an open hand slap? I didn't.
No, I think it's just very, very demeaning. You know, so it's even worse.
It's like a slap in the face. Like, it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
If a
It's
guy
worse
slaps
than
you in the
getting
face, it's like a literally slap in the face.
Yeah.
It means that.
Okay, it was embarrassed and drunk and mad, like all the things you don't want to be.
Honestly, I don't.
Look at us now.
Yeah, like, yeah, we've come a long way.
So,
what hunts do you have coming up? What do you have happening?
So we just auctioned off a hunt at SCI with me in Hawaii. So we're supposed to go for an access hunt this summer.
Okay.
Have either of you guys been to Pineapple Brothers in Lanai?
I have not, but I've heard of it, and I heard they're doing great things.
Oh, it is so fun. I went when I was like 7 months pregnant with my son and haven't been back since. So fun. We saw like 150 access deer a day. And then you stay at the Four Seasons. So if you have anyone in your family that doesn't necessarily hunt,
I love the Four Seasons.
You like the Four Seasons,
big Four Seasons fan.
It was hard to choose between hunting and like going to the Four Seasons during the day, but it's the best hunt. So we auctioned that off. We got like 65 grand for it.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome. And so we're gonna do that hopefully, but the people that bid on it get to choose when, so we're just kind of waiting on them.
Okay.
I think I'm going on a girls elk hunt, but I'm the only girl that actually hunts. The rest are like girls, like ride horses and stuff. So
where?
Montana.
Where in Montana?
One of the girls' ranches. I don't actually know where.
Who's the girl?
Her name's Nikki. She owns Canty Boots. It's like a really cool.
I don't know if you're on the Mountain Ops girls or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, not with those girls.
Okay.
They're awesome though.
Yeah.
I love those girls.
So tell us where we can find you. Tell us about Eva Co. and touch on your book for a bit, because I love the thought process behind that book and everything you have going on right now.
Well, you can find me on pretty much all the platforms, just Eva Shockey. Eva Co. The Instagram is Shop Eva Co. So it was right before COVID, and then COVID hit and kind of worked out that I just had always felt like I'm outdoorsy. I mean, a little redneck, but also a little whatever the opposite of redneck is. Like I kind of fall into all the categories at one time, and there was never really the home decor and products that I felt like they still are sort of elevated, but still represent the outdoors. So Eva Co. is basically home decor accessories you can wear that are elevated outdoor inspired things that include like gathering and bringing people in your house and just representing the outdoor space in a little bit more of like a feminine way that I think my brand has kind of represented. So we do a lot of that. It's been really fun. It's been a lot more work than I was expecting to create and manufacture and distribute and all that. And I'm like, there's a lot of the not as fun stuff that I wasn't associating with creating a business, but I mean, it's a learning curve. And then my book is called Taking Aim. I wrote it, the last edit happened the week before I had my daughter, who's 7. So I wrote it 8 years ago. And I will say that I would love to go and write another one, because now that I've had kids,
you should.
Some of the advice in that book, and like, I wish I could go edit it like a blog, but it's called Taking Aim. It's about daring to be different, happy, and healthier in the outdoors. So like following your path, following your passion. At the time, there weren't a lot of females in the outdoor space, and a lot of people told me no. A lot of people attacked me for what I was doing as like a hunter and outdoors woman, and that kind of just fueled me to go more and go harder, because I just did not want people to tell me just because I looked a certain way I couldn't do something. So the book is all about that. A lot of life stories kind of woven in, and Yeah, I'd love to I want to do more of like an outdoor coffee table lifestyle book with like
You
the
should.
field to table
You
stuff.
should. I mean,
more of like the lifestyle, your home, how to bring people in and
I was
family and all that.
I did a addition on my place in Montana. I was looking at the website today. Like, there's a lot of home things I need a code for so that I can get a little bit of a deal on some of these things to decorate my place out there.
The linens and the table runners.
I know. I mean, saw a lot of this stuff.
You hit a home run with that table runner.
How do I get some of this stuff?
It seemed like, I mean, it's kind of funny, but like it just seemed like there was, full camo stuff, or there was like mainstream fancy stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, where's the stuff like the Axis print? Like I couldn't find it. I honestly wanted it for my house, and so then we just like, let's just do it. And so now I have a team and a lot more responsibilities than I was expecting at this stage. And it's fun though. It's cool to create stuff and then see, in people's homes and with their kids and families. It's kind of surreal. But
you're doing a phenomenal job.
You're killing it. Thank you so much for coming on. I know we're kind of just starting this podcast, but thank you for taking the time. Tell Tim I said hello.
I will. Let him
love his trucks. Tell him to send me some more pics of these things. I want to see them. If you guys ever want to hunt in Kentucky or Montana with us, we'd love to get together.
I appreciate your time. And once again, everyone check out Eva Co, because her home decor, I spent too much time. I had too much to do, and I spent too much time looking at everything today through everything. And the Axis table runner is my favorite.
Thanks. That was our number. That's what it was created around, was the Axis print. But hopefully if we get to Tennessee, we'll have to come see all in person.
Absolutely. And we'll let you go cook some dinner and get some more wine.
Back to mom life.
Exactly.
Thanks. Nice to talk to you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See ya.